starting with the harmonious psychedelic pop stars Mamas and the Papas isn't normally what I do here, but the 2017 Yamaha FZ10 isn't a normal motorcycle. So, I saw an interview with the band long ago, and basically they said when they were in the studio they knew they were onto something when the fifth voice came in the room. There were four of them, singing amazing harmonies, all the leaves are brown, etc., and that when the harmonies were particularly harmonious, a new, greater voice appeared. The fifth voice. A suggestion of another dimension unseen but heard and felt right here on Earth under magic circumstances. I hear the fifth voice on this most harmonious of motorcycles. The FZ10 doesn't have one particular characteristic that makes it exceptional, but much like the bike it shares its essential platform with the YZF-R1, the overall balance of all its qualities makes it excel. That and the sublime 998cc crossplane inline four sings the same almost syncopated staccato rhythm that is just so interesting and moving. The song is the same, but the power, character and response are quite a bit different from this half-naked sit-up street bike. The changes are really about lung operation. Starting with the 12-liter airbox versus 10 liters on the R1, Yamaha says the extra capacity helps performance on the FZ10 because it doesn't have the same available ram air effect since speeds on the FZ10 as a street bike are generally lower. Haha, and that there isn't a full fairing with an enclosed intake channel stuffing it in the airbox. True. It also could have an ergonomic inspiration. A larger airbox simply fits better on a bike where there is little need for the rider to tuck in. The FZ10's 45mm throttle bodies are essentially the same as those used on the R1 but allow for cruise control, yes, and carry single fuel injectors that pump 25% more fuel at 100% duty cycle. The shower heads on the R1 are deleted here, and the emphasis on making more power and lower RPM calls for the increased injector capacity. More conservative cams reduce duration, lift, and overlap, all things that help the bike run more smoothly and provide greater power at lower RPM. Add to this smaller ports and smaller 31mm steel, not 33mm titanium intake valves, which give the air and fuel cause to rush more quickly into oblivion at lower RPM, making bottom-end output more robust and overall response feel a lot more immediate than on the R1. All the changes and fracture split steel connecting rods like those used on the R1's mean maximum RPM is 12,200 on the FZ, not the 14,500 of the R1, or even the 12,650 of the R1's. The stock R1 is pretty soft below about 7,000 revolutions per minute, but the FZ10 starts to deliver a significant bump in torque and horsepower at about 6,000 with a first peak of about 70 pound-feet at 7,500, followed by a slight lull, and then a swing up to the max of 73 pound-feet at 9,200 revs. Top gear roll-on performance is super strong, and the 6-speed gearbox shifting performance is impeccable. What the FZ10 isn't mega powerful or a torque monster. The 130 horses and 73 pound-feet are no joke, but a long way off the KTM 1290 Super Duke 151 rupees and 95. We've also dined at 2014 BMW S1000R at more than 150 horsepower, and the 2016 Best Open Class Street Bike winning Tuono V4 1100 delivers more than 150. It's a tough class and the FZ10 is simply less powerful. On the road, though, you'd be hard-pressed to miss the 20 horses. The 43-tooth rear sprocket gains 2 teeth versus the R1 and accounts for the slight change in wheelbase, but the transmission keeps the same internal gears, so the tall first is followed by some very close ratios. Top gear roll-on performance is super strong, and the 6-speed gearbox shifting performance is impeccable. So is the chassis. Rake and trail are classic 24 degrees 4.0 inches, just like the R1, and the main frame and swing arm are identical. Full praise for the handling on this naked superbike. It's got total unflappability like the R1 but is easier to turn thanks to that wide handlebar. Exit a second gear corner and roll the throttle wide open and you are greeted with a beautiful crossed-up power wheelie that will carry through to the next shift. And when you set it down, even if the wheel isn't straight, it just glides right in line with no hint of instability. Said can it, that wheelie-inducing surge around 6,500 revolutions per minute adds much excitement, but running it up to 7K in 4th gear, you can roll out and snap the throttle open with a tug on the bars for a full clutchless wheelie. Pretty impressive power for such an overall refined feeling. Feedback from the contact patches is amazing, and although the ride is on the firm side, grip, ease of changing line, all of it is wonderful, with that core element of stability that is hugely reassuring when you're dissecting a back road. The fancy word to use about the FZ10 here is homeostasis. The fancy word to use about the FZ10 here is homeostasis. Slightly dumber electronics than the R1s have no IMUS since we are presumably not trying to win the Super Naked World Championship. We were fine with the functionality of TC enlaced intervention, 1 no wheelie control, 2 some, 3 death to wheelies, but were confused by the power modes being rearranged from previous product like the FZ09. On that bike, AA mode was super sizzle, STD was, standard, and B was something less than standard. The FZ10 offers B as most aggressive throttle response, AA is less so, and STD is least aggressive, though all do offer full power once the throttle is on its stop. The change was made on FZ10 to best match the aggressive, exciting character of the bike, Yamaha said of the mode reordering. We say it's a bit confusing at first. I enjoyed B the most but reverted to A on tight roads for its gentler response from closed throttle. But leaving lights in A or STD results in an almost boggy feeling that's gone in B. There is but one real complaint about engine performance: the FZ10 gulps fuel. Our 32 mpg average is slightly better than Yamaha's claimed 30. It makes us wonder where all the gas is going. And we also realize this is not a competitor with a Prius, but you will often get the reserve light at around 100 miles and have a gallon, or less than 30 miles, to find gas. I mean, yeah, we'll enjoy it. Would the mamas and the papas have the same sound if they'd dressed like Alice Cooper? I'm not sure. I am certain the FZ10's styling is in the stealth goni mid genre, and Yamaha has managed to out-angle even KTM, simply by adding more folds and having fewer large almost flat planes. Whether you like it or not is up to you. I do enjoy a motorcycle when my eyes glide along organic contours, but I must admit the assault weapon purposefulness of the FZ10's overall look has its appeal. My final comment on this topic, however, is that this bike is a pain in the ass to wash with all its sharp nooks and crannies. The rest smooth as can be without an abrupt seam anywhere. This bike is honed and polished, something the Japanese company engineering culture does the best. But, like with the YZF-R1, that buffeted-out mechanical sweetness is underlined by a vat of bubbling soul with a musical overtone that can't be ignored. The more you ride the FZ10, the more you appreciate what it does. Great ergonomics, a comfortable seat, controls that feel elegantly smooth, and fine brakes even if the abs is a bit conservative all give it a wonderful, natural feeling that clicks right into the open space in your brain that is waiting for great all-purpose motorcycle. But it joins the champions of the high-performance utility street bike class. The KTM 1290 Super Duke R is nearly as sublime to ride as the BMW S1000R, but adds an edge of brutality with its bigger V-twin booms and more massive power. The Tuono V4 1100 sort of splits the difference between those bikes and adds the heat of Calabrian chili paste, though the northerners at Aprilia might argue with my use of a southern Italian spice. And all three of these bikes enter 2017 with updates. It will be a shootout to remember. Until then, beauty of the FZ10 is that it brings a higher harmony to the nearly naked street bike class that satisfies every time you ride it. Specifications: general list price, importer, customer service, phone, warranty, engine, drivetrain, engine, bore, stroke, displacement, compression, 2, valve train, valve, adjust, intervals, induction, oil, capacity, electric power, battery, chassis, weight tank, empty, weight tank, full, fuel, capacity, wheelbase, brake trail, seat, height, ground clearance, GVWR, load capacity, tank, full, front, suspension, manufacturer, tube, diameter, claimed, wheel, travel, adjustments, rear, suspension, manufacturer, type, claimed, wheel, travel, adjustments, tires, front, rear, performance, 14 mile, 030 mph, 060 mph, 090 mph, 0100 mph, top gear, time, 2, speed, 4060 mph, top gear, time, 2, speed, 6080 mph, engine, speed at 60 mph, fuel mileage, HIGHLOWAVERAGEAVG. Range Inc. Reserve braking distance from 30 mph from 60 mph. Speedometer error 30 mph indicated 60 mph indicated. Sean McDonald, associate editor. As a guy who normally prefers to reserve four-cylindered things for track duty, I was blown away by how tractable and low down the power was on the FZ10, as well as how at home it felt on the street. As with so much of what Yamaha has done lately, the more time I spent on it and the more I pushed it, the more I began to really love it. Gone are the days of Japanese nakeds falling into a second tier. Don Cannett, road test editor. While the FZ10's styling doesn't particularly resonate with my taste, its engine and chassis strike a chord head directly to the funny bottom-end delivery and the thrilling mid-range hit are exactly as I had hoped from this R1-derived sport naked. Frequent flyer miles have added up, floating the front, exiting lower gear corners. Yamaha tailored its 10 best superbike for the average citizen without neutering its character. What we have here is the emperor without clothes in the best sense. Mark Hoyer, editor-in-chief. The 2001 FZ10 was a steel tube-framed road burner with a rack of carbs and a big punch. Plush and great steering, it made for a wonderful sporting motorcycle. It was also a huge departure from the YZF-R1, though it shared the same basic engine. What's to love about this new FZ10? It's a close copy of a latest Gen R1 with just right mods to make it a fine daily missile and so a great carrier of the original bike's flame.